Welcome to VMblog's coverage of IGEL Now Next, taking place in Miami at the Fountain Blue. Today I have the pleasure of having Zscaler with us. How are you doing today?
Doing fine, thank you. My name is Dan, coming from Zscaler. Excited to be here in Miami with IGEL. A lot of really exciting things going on in the end user computing space, and we're glad to be a part of it.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit about Zscaler.
Yeah, so Zscaler, we are the leader in cloud security, and we effectively help organizations accelerate their digital and security transformations. And really the net result of this is organizations become more agile, more efficient, more resilient, and naturally more secure. We can really help organizations with a whole host of their security issues. I mean, we have threat and malware protection, and also data protection, because we want data to drive business and not breaches. And so ultimately, those are a lot of the reasons customers turn to us.
Right. Well, maybe we can take a deeper dive into the technology and what kind of problems do you solve for your customers?
Yeah, indeed. So as I mentioned, the real key challenge is customers want to, for starters, above and beyond any security, they want to securely connect their users, their devices, and their applications. And really that's something fundamental to Zscaler, what we built with our architecture, which are our Zero Trust Exchange, we call it. And really by securely connecting these users, devices, locations from anywhere, the real sort of net benefit is that not only is there strong productivity and connectivity, but also full threat and data protection, which is really critical because security without productivity is really just a sort of just gets in the way of business. However, we can't sort of lean too far in the sort of direction of productivity without the appropriate security. Zscaler with our architecture really threads that needle and makes sure that customers are not only secure but also ultimately really productive.
So, in this EUC space, what kind of makes you unique and stand out among the other competitors?
Yeah, interesting question. So as we think about Zscaler, we are and oftentimes synonymous with the sort of zero trust space. And that's something that we really have taken to heart, and since our beginnings we have really thought about this. And something that's really unique to us are the zero trust benefits that we bestow upon our customers. And I'll share a few with you. For starters, it's really beginning by reducing attack surfaces, right? And while it's a convenient rhyme, at the same time, it's very true. If you're reachable, you're breachable. And so, with our zero trust architecture, we really help organizations pivot towards the sort of minimum viable amount of publicly reachable IP addresses, right? And sort of hidden assets. They can put assets, IPs behind Zscaler, and ultimately reduce the risk of attack. Next, of course, is stopping both sort of malware and threats from getting in, and we do that with full TLS inspection. Now, gone are the days of doing sort of decryption on box with like a firewall. Rather, we do it in the cloud without limits, and thus that means we can inspect all traffic coming and going to make sure that the bad stuff stays out, right? Malware, phishing, etc., and the good stuff, sensitive data. Again, as I said before, it really drives business and not breaches. Third is as we think about our architecture, and we've seen, sort of some legacy setups where maybe there's a VPN connected to a firewall that dumps users onto a network. Well, if there's a compromise in any sort of part of that architecture, at that point, bad actors may well have run of the network. They'll have the ability to move laterally. Well, with our architecture, we actually have inbuilt segmentation. And really what that means is users or employees uniquely connect only to the resource or application they need to reach. That's it. So where they're not dumped on the network, they're not allowed to move laterally. So that really reduces and almost effectively eliminates the risk of lateral movement by attackers. And lastly, and I won't belabor this, I mentioned it, is really strong data protections. And that's across all channels. That's data in line, that's data at rest in SaaS applications in your cloud, and of course it's also data that resides on the endpoint. So those really four key benefits really make Zscaler and the Zscaler Zero Trust architecture unique.
Well, being that we're at an IGEL event, what does your partnership with IGEL look like?
Yeah, indeed. So, we see many organizations who really are rethinking how they support productivity, right? And what's interesting is we see, mobility and endpoints, and we see cloud as two really key drivers in 2025 of how business gets done.
Right.
And so, both Zscaler and IGEL really sort of share this belief. That being the case, what we're doing with IGEL is we're allowing, or basically building a connect and protect solution. So what does that mean? Well, we start with a hardened IGEL OS, or hardened endpoint. And from there, we can use the Zscaler Zero Trust browser to effectively broker connections directly to applications, web applications, applications in the cloud that employees need to remain productive. Formally, organizations would oftentimes maybe resort to something like VDI for this. And VDI is useful in certain situations, but if you've got sort of an IGEL device and it's sort of a non-persistent scenario, desktop scenario for VDI, bringing IGEL together with Zscaler means we can securely connect a user on an IGEL device directly to the application they need. We do this securely, and we do this without any additional infrastructure or agents. It's agentless. We just use the IGEL device, our Zero Trust browser on that device, and away they go. It's full productivity. So it's a connect and protect solution.
Well, we've been talking with a lot of people here at the show, and one of the big topics that always comes up is AI.
Yeah. You're kidding. In 2025, right? We're talking about AI.
But yeah, I mean, it's a very disruptive technology, and I think people are still trying to figure out how to use it and best utilize it. What is Zscaler doing in terms of AI?
Yeah, good question. I'll tell you really sort of how we see AI, and it's true. Our customers have questions too, and I think for starters, I'll tell you sort of how we sort of organize our view of AI. Right, and we're a security company, so we look at this through a lens of data protection, of RBAC access controls. So we see sort of three principal areas, and the first is and this is we've been talking about this for a couple of years, the secure use of public AI or Gen AI. Right, and that of course is understanding what Gen AI applications are being used in the enterprise. We've heard it in the keynotes here. Shadow IT and now shadow AI is a real problem. I mean, in many cases, employees will begin using their personal AI accounts for business projects, for work projects. Right, and that may well mean they're, well-intentioned. They may well be sharing sensitive data with, a model outside the purview of IT. That is not ideal.
Right.
So we think about AI visibility of all the apps in place. Second, understanding who and how need to access those sanctioned AI applications. Once you've got a sense for the applications in place, who can access those and how do you want them to access those applications? And then of course it's the data protections. We've already seen some cautionary tales of organizations suffering from inadvertent data breaches with AI models. Well, you want to make sure data protections are running on these sessions to make sure that maybe it is a sanctioned AI app, maybe somebody's using it the way they should, but perhaps they're sharing some information with it they shouldn't. And those data protections, make sure that data is not shared with an LLM, because honestly, once it's shared with that LLM, you may never recover it. That is just the honest to goodness truth. And then lastly, it's logging. So we think about securing Gen AI. We think about many of the same principles also in the second area of securing private AI. When organizations deploy LLMs internally to really power many of their applications. And not only is it the visibility, but in this case, it's things like prompt injections, right? Just making sure that there are guardrails on sort of the AI interactions of what's being, fed into the models, and then also what the model spits out. Is it sharing broken links? Is it sharing malicious links? Making sure there are the appropriate guardrails around this private AI. And then lastly, we sort of broke this apart because this is causing a lot of confusion, is really seeing and stopping AI-powered attacks by bad actors. It's no secret we're seeing higher quality phishing emails. We've known this for a while now. They're able to get to malicious code faster or refining, malware faster. So they can launch their attacks a little bit faster. Everything's a little bit better, right? So there are more and more attacks that are being assisted by AI. So that's really critical, but seeing and stopping them is really important. And truthfully, AI matters here, but I think architecture matters as much, if not more. We talked about the zero trust architecture before and hiding attack surfaces. Mm-hmm. That's the critical step to start with when we're thinking about stopping AI-powered attacks. Just making it harder for your organization to be reached and targeted, right? And then of course we bring in AI to assist many of our threat-centered products, to instantly recognize malware, to automatically segment applications to make sure there's really a limited internal attack surface, to automatically understand if there's risk on a web page, and if so, we'll open it in our Zero Trust browser. There are all sorts of ways that AI can assist the security you're doing to ultimately yield a better enterprise security posture. So it's a bit of a long-winded explanation, but we're thinking about AI a lot, and we think about those three buckets: securing public AI, securing private AI, and seeing and stopping AI-powered attacks.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the show. But before we let you go, for people that can't attend the show, what's the best way for them to find out more about Zscaler?
Yeah, just you go to our website. I'm sure many folks say that, zscaler.com. That's where, of course, we have really all of the information about our full platform and all the different ways we can help organizations.
Well, great. It was a pleasure speaking with you again.
Thanks.